Claude Code can now create amazing visuals for your videos, B-roll animations, thumbnails, social posts, all without you leaving the app. And I'm going to show you exactly how. Before this, if you needed a thumbnail, you went to Midjourney or Canva, B-roll clip, Runway, social post, back to Canva, or a designer brief, or a stock site. Every visual meant a different platform, a different login, re-explaining your style from scratch every single time. That's done now. The trick is a service called Replicate. It puts over 100 AI generation models behind a single API. Nano Banana 2 for thumbnails, Haluo for animating stills into B-roll clips, and whatever model drops next month gets added the same way. I wrote 60 lines of Python on top of it and turned it into 3 commands: /thumb, /broll, /socialpost. You describe what you want, the file lands on disk, you keep working. In this video, I'll show you the 2-minute setup, generate 4 thumbnails for 16 cents, animate 1 into a B-roll clip for 30 cents, and batch Instagram, Twitter, and LinkedIn posts from 1 prompt, all without leaving Claude Code. And because you own the code, when something better ships, you change 1 line. But now let's get into step 1. The problem. Every visual is a different AP. Let me show you what a normal visual workflow actually looks like, because I want you to feel the problem before we fix it. You finish writing your video script inside Claude Code. Great. Now you need a thumbnail. So you open Midjourney, paste in a description, wait, download, realize it doesn't quite fit your brand, iterate, download again. Now you need a B-roll clip. So you open Runway or CapCut, describe the motion, wait for the render, download it. Now you need a social post for Instagram. So you open Canva, find a template that's close enough, drag things around, resize it for stories. By the time you've done all 3, 20 minutes are gone, and you've only produced the supporting assets for 1 video. You haven't touched the actual content, and the cost isn't just the time. You're paying for 3 or 4 separate subscriptions, Canva, Pro, Midjourney, Runway, every month, whether you use them or not. Each one requires you to log in, re-explain your style, and operate in a completely different way. There's no shared context. Every tool is starting from 0. Here's what this looks like instead. I type thumb inside Claude Code with a description of what I want. 45 seconds later, 4 thumbnail variations are sitting on my disk. I pick the one I like, type broll with the image path and a motion description, and 90 seconds later, there's a 6-second animated clip ready to drop into my editor. I type social post with the platform name, and 4 correctly sized social images come back: Instagram, Story, Twitter, LinkedIn, from 1 prompt. That whole run costs under $1. No subscriptions, no app switching, no re-explaining anything. The way this works is a service called Replicate. It sits behind all of this and gives Claude Code access to over 100 generation models through a single API. That's the foundation. Let me show you how to set it up, but now let's set it up in 2 minutes. The setup has 3 parts and it takes about 2 minutes. No CLI to install, no service account to configure, no new app to learn. Part 1, your API key. Go to replicate.com, create a free account. You get roughly $10 of credit to start, which covers a lot of generations. Copy your API token and paste it into your .env file as replicate API token. That's the only credential you need. Part 2, Gen.py. This is the script that does all the work. It's about 60 lines and handles all 3 types of generation: thumbnails, B-roll animation, and social posts. Drop it into pipeline and /visuals in your Claude Code project. You can grab the exact file from the school community. Link in the description. I'm going to tell Claude to create it from the spec right now. Part 3, 3 markdown files in .claude/commands. These are what create the /commands: thumb, broll, and social post. Each one is about 20 lines. Drop them in and the commands are immediately available inside Claude Code. That's the entire setup. Look at the directory tree on screen, 1 line in .env. Pipeline and visuals /gen.py, 3 files in .claude/commands. That's everything. Here's why this matters more than it might seem. You own every layer of this stack. The script is yours. The API key is yours. The commands are yours. When a model that's better than Flux ships next week, you edit 1 string in gen.py, and the command immediately uses the new model. No waiting for Midjourney to integrate it. No waiting for Canva to add it. No new subscription. You change one line and the whole system upgrades. That's what vendor lock-in costs you. Not money, but the ability to move fast when the model layer shifts. Now let's start with step 3, the thumbnails process. Here's the thumbnail workflow. Type/thumb followed by a description of what you want. The script fires 4 separate generation runs happening at the same time, and 4 distinct PNG files land in assets, generated visuals. The folder opens automatically. The whole thing takes about 45 seconds. The model I'm using here is Gemini 2.0 Flash Image Generation, Google's latest image model, and it's built into the same API you're probably already using for other things in Claude Code. What makes it work well for thumbnails is how it reads and executes detailed visual descriptions. You don't want a short prompt here. Describe the lighting, the mood, the composition, the expression, and be specific about the thumbnail elements that actually drive click-through, where the face sits in the frame, where the text overlay goes, how dark the background is, the direction of the light source, whether there's a second element in the frame adding contrast. Gemini reads all of that and builds toward it. Short prompts give you generic output. Specific prompts give you something that actually looks like your channel, and that gap gets wider the more detail you put in. Now here's the iteration technique that makes this workflow genuinely better than generating a single image. With 4 versions, you can compare. And comparison is what makes you a better prompter. Look at what worked across the 4. Maybe version 2 has the best lighting, version 4 has the expression you wanted, version 1 has the right background density. You don't rebuild from scratch. You tell Claude, keep the lighting from version 2, the expression from version 4, push the background darker, run 4 more. 1 adjustment, 1 more 45-second wait, and the second round is noticeably better than the first because you're now iterating toward a specific target instead of generating blind. 2 rounds of iteration is usually all it takes. First round finds the direction, second round nails the execution. You end up with a thumbnail you actually want to use. And now let's get into step 4, B-roll creation. Take one of the thumbnails from step 3, the one you liked best. Now type /broll followed by the image path, a pipe character, then a description of the motion you want to happen. The script uploads the PNG to Replicate's file endpoint, passes it to Hilo02 along with your motion description, and downloads a 6-second 768 PMP4 when the render is done, about 90 seconds total. Drop that clip into your editor as a B-roll opening, a looping background behind text, a chapter transition, or a cold open visual. No After Effects, no motion designer. 1 command from an image you already generated in the previous step. Now here's the key teaching moment for this step, and it's the thing that separates decent B-roll from great B-roll when you're prompting video models. Don't prompt camera direction, prompt scene motion. Slow zoom in or camera pans left produces stiff, artificial-looking output because the model is interpreting camera instructions literally. What produces life is describing what physically moves in the scene. The fire crackles, steam rises from the mug, the light shifts as clouds pass overhead, paper drifts slowly across the desk. You're describing the world, not the camera. I'm going to show you 2 generations side by side, same image, different prompt approach. First one with camera direction, second one with scene motion. The difference is immediate and obvious. For B-roll that goes into a professional video, this is the prompt structure that works. Describe the subject's physical state. Describe 1 or 2 environmental details that move and keep it specific. Vague motion prompts give you vague animation. Specific physical descriptions give you something that looks like it was actually filmed. Now, what if the first generation doesn't land the way you wanted? Don't regenerate with the same prompt. Adjust 1 element of the motion description and rerun. If the clip feels too static, add a second physical detail. If it feels too chaotic, remove 1 moving element and simplify. 1 small change in the motion description makes a significant difference in the output. Most of the time, 2 runs gets you there. 3 runs max. One more thing. The same clip can work in multiple places in the same video. A 6-second loop as a cold open, trimmed to 3 seconds as a chapter card, slowed down in post as a background element. You're not generating a clip for 1 use. You're generating a raw asset you can cut multiple ways. Cost on screen for this step, 30 cents. Now let's get into step 5, social posts. Every video you publish needs more than a thumbnail. It needs an Instagram feed post, a story, a Twitter image, a LinkedIn post. Each platform has a different aspect ratio and a different visual expectation. If you're doing this manually in Canva, that's 3 or 4 separate templates, a manual resize for each, and an export for everyone. And none of them match the thumbnail you just generated because they were made in a different tool, a different session with a different starting point. Here's how this works in the script. The /socialpost command takes 2 arguments separated by a pipe, the platform name and your prompt. Type /socialpost Instagram, and the script looks up the aspect ratio for Instagram feed, 1080 by 1080, and generates 4 variations at that size. Same prompt, social post story, it generates 1080 by 1920. Same prompt, social post LinkedIn, it generates the correct dimensions for LinkedIn. The aspect ratio map is just a Python dictionary in GenPI. You can see it on screen. You can add any platform or any custom dimension you want by adding 1 line to that dict. 3 platform runs. Let's look at what comes back. Instagram feed, 4 options. Correctly sized, same visual language as the thumbnail because you're using the same prompt direction. Story format, taller composition, same brand feel. LinkedIn, wider, same energy. All 3 sets generated in 1 session, same context, under $0.50 total. Compare that to the Canva workflow. 3 separate template files, manual, drag and resize for each, export per format, re-upload to each platform. Conservatively, 15 minutes and a Canva Pro subscription. This is 4 minutes and $0.50 total. The reason the visual consistency holds is that you're staying in Claude Code the whole time. Claude has context from step 3, your thumbnail prompt, your direction, your channel style. The social post prompts extend that. They're not starting from scratch. And now let's get into step 6, your workflow saved forever. Open.claude/commands/thumb.md. This is the entire reason /thumb works. It's about 20 lines of markdown. It tells Claude what the command does, how to call gen.py, what arguments to pass, and what to do with the output. That's it. The / command is just a markdown file, which means you can read it, edit it, understand it completely. And you can create a new one for any visual workflow you run more than once. That's the principle worth holding on to here. Any workflow you do twice becomes a / command. You generated facecam images in a specific style for a brand. Save that prompt structure as /brand shot. You ran a specific animation style for chapter transitions. Save that as /transition. You found a prompt combination that generates clean lower third graphics for your videos. That's /lower third. Every time you land on something that works, you put it in a markdown file. You never have to remember the prompt again. The system compounds with every video you make. There's one more file worth building alongside the commands, a skills SOP. Call it Claude_visuals_SOP.md and drop it in your skills folder. Put your model IDs in there, your cost per generation, which model handles which task best, and what to try when a generation fails. It sounds like admin, but 6 months from now, when you can't remember why you chose Higgsfield over Kling for B-roll, that file is the answer. It's the institutional memory of your visual system. Now here's the thing that makes this different from every subscription tool you've been using. The model layer is completely in your hands. Open gen.py and find this line, Gemini_image. _model equals Gemini-2.5-flash-image. That's the model ID for your thumbnail and social post generation. When Google ships a newer image model, or when you want to swap in something from a different provider entirely, like Flux 2, you change that one string. The / commands don't need to change. The workflow doesn't change. You update the model, everything upgrades. You didn't wait for Midjourney to integrate it. You didn't wait for Canva to offer it. You just changed a string. That's what you actually get from owning the code, not just the $1 per session, the ability to move as fast as the model layer moves. And right now, the model layer is moving very fast. All the files, gen.py, the 3 command templates, and a starter Claude_visuals_SOP.md are free in the school community. Link in the description. And if you want to see how to build a Claude design system that feeds directly into these prompts, your brand colors, typography, and visual identity baked into every generation. Click the Open Design video on screen now.